Mr. Kendrick, you have been found not guilty on all charges.
Diamante Kendrick, known as Yak Gotti, was acquitted, and Shannon Stillwell was found not guilty of the most serious charges of murder. Came just weeks after 4 defendants,
I plead guilty,
including rapper Young Thug, whose real name is Jeffrey Williams, took plea deals in October, which significantly sped up the case.
His DA's office used his song, his rap, Take It to Trial against him, and Diamante took it to trial and showed the DA's office what they can do with that lyric.
Wait a minute. So you mean to tell me that Yak already beat the state, got acquitted from the case, but it's still property of the state? Man.
If you're new, make sure y'all hit that notification bell, that like, share, comment, and subscribe. Grab a seat. We finna dig deep.
Wait a minute. So Yak Gotti, who was caught in the crossfire of one of the most high-profile RICO trials in history, actually just filed an emergency bond motion for release. Now, the crazy thing is, after beating all of the charges, being acquitted of all charges in the Young Thug YSL RICO trial, you would think that he'd be actually walking free. But nope, not free at all. He's actually still behind bars and still fighting the system that just won't seem to let him go. But ask yourself this, why is Yak actually still locked up? And is this the state actually using strategic tactics to actually keep him locked up? Before we dig deep, man, y'all subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Tap that notification bell so you won't miss a drop. And definitely hit that like button to help the channel continue to grow. Y'all know the vibes, grab a seat. We finna dig deep. So let's dig. Now, Yak Gotti was actually acquitted of all RICO charges earlier with this trial, a decision that a lot of people saw as a pivotal moment when it came to this Young Thug RICO trial saga. Now, the jury has spoken out since then and simply said the charges didn't make sense and they didn't stick. Now, Yak was actually cleared of any wrongdoing in this case that actually landed him at Rice Street Jail. But while waiting for his freedom and fighting for his freedom, he's definitely found himself navigating the harsh realities of Rice Street Jail life, an environment where survival, not just his, is actually paramount, and danger lurks around every corner. Now, what's interesting is that all of these alleged incidents just keep happening on the state's watch. But ask yourself this, was this just part of the state's plot?
YSL racketeering case ended today with a verdict.
Fulton County jurors spent more than 4 days deliberating and eventually found the final 2 defendants not guilty of the most serious charges they faced, including murder. Fox 5's Tyler Fingert was in the courtroom for the big moment. He's now live outside the Fulton County Courthouse with the details. Tyler, hard to believe it's all finally over.
Yeah, Courtney, good evening to you. It was an anticlimactic ending for Georgia's longest-running criminal trial as the final 2 defendants learned their fate today.
We have a verdict.
It was a stunning defeat in court for the Fulton County District Attorney's Office.
Mr. Kendrick, you have been found not guilty on all charges.
A years-long effort to prosecute the first group of alleged YSL gang members on RICO and other charges ended Tuesday. Diamante Kendrick, known as Yak Gotti, was acquitted, and Shannon Stillwell was found not guilty of the most serious charges of murder.
You have been found guilty on count 64, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, and not guilty on every other charge.
Stillwell was sentenced to 10 years to serve 2 and was given credit for time served. Prosecutors alleged both were members of the YSL gang and committed violent crimes while a part of it. Just after the verdict, Kendrick's mom celebrated.
We got it, right?
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
I feel damn good.
Tuesday's verdict came just weeks after 4 defendants,
I plead guilty,
including rapper Young Thug, whose real name is Jeffrey Williams, took plea deals in October, which significantly sped up the case. Attorneys say after the verdict, jurors shared this message with them.
So this trial was too long, too much for them to process, too much information, that all these little extraneous things.
After the year-long trial, jury deliberations took less than 16 hours over 4 days.
I think the world got to see how cases can be built the wrong way.
Defense attorney Weinstein called the trial a waste of taxpayer money. With it over, he says lawmakers need to act to protect artists from having their lyrics used against them.
His DA's office used his song, his rap, Take It to Trial against him, and Diamante took it to trial and showed the DA's office what they can do with that lyric.
So don't get me wrong, I love the fact that his family and his attorney is definitely celebrating his big W. That's a big W. They just beat the state and the RICO case. But here's the situation. He's still incarcerated and under control and watch by the state. Now, even more interesting, now they're using what? Yeah, he beat this case, but he also caught 2 additional charges in the bag. while he's under control and incarceration and custody of who? The state. How ironic is this? You caught a charge for more than likely defending your own life in the back. We know how Rice Street is. We read the reports. We seen the news articles. We know it's every man for himself. It's a concrete jungle. We done heard the different witnesses testify they'd rather do whatever they had to do instead of go back to White Street. But ask yourself this. 1, attack, understood. 2, in my personal opinion, set up by the state. Look at this. This man, as long as this case has been going on, 2 incidents. 2 incidents. 1 from June, and then 1 while the jury was actually in the back deliberating the verdict. Make that make sense? My personal opinion, I feel like the state knew that this was happening, so this is more like insurance. Look at the defendants that they put on trial. Look at the wounds that they reopened. Those that have already let this go. The state knew what they were doing. Either way it goes, either way it went, the state knew that they were actually putting these defendants in harm's way. The longer they can keep them in incarceration and Rice Street down here locked up, they're still under what? Watch of the state. Let's dig. So as you see, this was filed on December 9th, 2024, the state of Georgia versus DeMonte Kendrick. Combs now defending DeMonte Kendrick, buying through his attorney, and moves the court to grant a reasonable bond and say it calls for the following reasons. 1. Defendant was arrested on June 20th, 2024 for the following offenses: aggravated assault, aggravated battery, and riot in a penal institution. Number 2, defendant has limited previous criminal history. 3, defendant is a Georgia resident and has substantial family ties. 4, defendant has no reason to contact victim or witnesses. Now, after all the dirty tactics that we've actually watched through this trial and with the state, especially when it came to the case and these defendants, it's hard to say that they're actually not being fair. But does he actually deserve a bond? And did this actual opening with this actual motion actually prove a valid point? No criminal history, no valid ties, solid foundation right there in the state. No probable reason or speculated reason to actually participate or speak with any of the actual witnesses or the actual defendants that were in the trial that were on the opposite side. Either way, valid points for the case. But still, in the hands of the state, I feel like these charges that they were put on Yak were just part of the play. Let's dig. Now here is the actual breakdown of the alleged incidents or the new charge. Now it reads, defendant was in custody for the RICO charge, in which he was found not guilty on all counts, but for his arrest on said case, defendant would not have been in custody. Defendant has been in continuous custody since May 9th, 2022, and during this time, over poking, you got to change the words for YouTube, and has several threats of harm made to him. On December 1st, 2024, Mr. Kendrick was actually poked in his head at the Fulton County Jail. It is evident that the Fulton County Sheriff's Office cannot keep Mr. Kendrick safe. Also, the conditions reported in the DOJ report issued on November 14, 2024 explicitly concluded the following. The Justice Department's report concluded that Fulton County and the Fulton County Sheriff's Office allowed unsafe and unsanitary conditions at the jail. As a result, people incarcerated in Fulton County Jail suffered harms from pest infestation and malnourishment, and were put at substantial risk of serious harm from violence by other incarcerated people, including homicides, pokings, and abuse. The unconstitutional and unlawful conditions at the Fulton County Jail have persisted for far too long, and we are committed to working with Fulton County and the Fulton County Sheriff's Office to remedy them. If granted a bond, defendant will follow all conditions deemed necessary by this honorable court. Defendant will appear at all future court dates, will not commit any criminal offenses while out on bond, will not leave the jurisdiction of this court, will not be a danger to any witness, person, or property. Respectfully submitted, December 9th, 2024, his attorney, Caleb Bumpus. So let's dig. From jailhouse fights to jailhouse pokings, this exposes the actual dangers that he's actually been subjected to while incarcerated at the hands of the state. And this is the crazy part with the system. Instead of him being treated as a victim of circumstance, he finds himself with new charges, criminalized for trying to survive in a place that he arguably should have never been in the first place. The irony of that situation and that conversation. Now, in my opinion, The motion raises a critical question. Should Yak have ever been in this environment to begin with? And now that he has been acquitted from all the YSL RICO trial charges, why is the state actually doubling down with these new charges? As I said from the beginning, in my personal opinion, the state only really wanted Young Thug and these last two defendants. Are these dirty strategic tactics designed to punish him further, despite his innocence? This situation is just another situation that exposes the flaws when it comes to the judicial system. But this should go to show how fast the system can be manipulated, especially when you can go from being a suspect to being a victim. Let that sink in. And if the state was all about justice, as they say, what happened to protect and serve when it comes to the victims of the state? Now, luckily, he does have a bond set date, next Tuesday, December 17th. Will Yak Gotti actually get the freedom he deserves, being that these charges that he's caught were at the hands and the watch of the state? Or will the state actually find another way to keep him under the watch of the state? Now, what's interesting is that we saw the incident with YFan Lucci from the Jaden Myrick attack. But what's even more interesting is we seen Yak got attacked before the verdict even came back. So ask yourself this: who's actually controlling the door? Who's actually controlling the floors? And how the hell does the ops keep getting on the same floor? Now, it is one thing to say that possibly they jammed the doors. But again, the purpose of the jail is to actually separate the ops from their ops so they're not on the same floor. So regardless of whoever jammed the door, while your ops is still on the same floor, let that sink in. So in my opinion, I do feel like the state is playing dirty, allowing these attacks and incidents to occur directly under their watch. Because remember, even though they lost the case, they still introduced this information and stirred up the pot based off their narrative. But again, I ask, was that actually the plot from the beginning? Let's dig. So let's dig. Now the crazy thing is, as you see, his attorney and his counsel is actually coming fully prepared with evidence to convince and show the judge, Mr. McBurney, his actual innocence, convincing him that he's actually been incarcerated wrongly for way too long. Had he not been incarcerated, maybe these incidents would not have actually happened had the state not got it wrong. But here's the bad thing. The case that should have been over is still not over because he caught what? New charges under the watch of the state. Diabolical, right? Now, even more funny, this just shows the thirst and the desperation of the state and how they are not willing to settle the case. Take the L. Let this boy go. Let's keep going. But they can't do that because they know that when they lost this case, the other 6 defendants where they had to drop the RICO charge over the charge of that case, they know that this is actually impactful for the state. So will the state actually take this whole L, or will Yak Gotti actually get a bond and be free by next Tuesday? Now y'all jump in the comments and let me know. Has the state actually still been caught playing dirty? Are these just normal tactics? And yeah, he did catch these charges, but when the actual RICO trial and charges was all acquitted, shouldn't these charges been dismissed as well? Especially if he caught them under the watch of the state? In my personal opinion, I do believe that these last 2 defendants were actually targeted by the state. SB, we finna do that video next. Should Yak be free? Is the state still playing dirty? Will Yak get bond? Kayla B, perfect case. Definitely salute to the new council team and the previous council team for still standing on 10, saying free Yak. Until it's over, we still gonna keep on hustling, free them boys. Now this case actually speaks to a broader issue on how far the state is actually willing to go to hold on to somebody, keeping them in control and custody after they've been fully acquitted. Yak Gotti beat the RICO charges, but now, once again, he's what? Fighting for his life at the hands of the state. So again, I ask, was this just part of the plan, or is he just a victim of a broken system? Y'all make sure y'all jump in the comments, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed, and tap that notification bell so you don't miss a drop whenever we drop. Until next time, remember, the greater the height, the greater the weight. The life you save might be your very own. Till next time, as always, I'm your host, Jay. Gone.